お待ちしておりましたぞ。
Undoubtedly, Hayao Miyazaki is almost everyone's favorite filmmaker in the anime industry, and this is why he doesn't need any stretchy introduction for his masterpieces. Even so, his latest release in Studio Ghibli's, named The Boy and the Heron, certainly draws a sense of mystical wonders within you while driving you nostalgic for a world that doesn't even exist. So, to give you that special magical vibe, Miyazaki is back with his latest film, which is all set to be featured on your screens after 10 years of a long waiting timeline. But, didn't you wait down to wonder what was Miyazaki's actual inspiration behind the release of The Boy and the Heron? And would you not want to spotlight the facts that make the legendary filmmaker's latest release an incredible masterpiece of the year to be figured out? Well, there is no need to rush at all, because in this video we are going to outline the things about The Boy and the Heron that you probably didn't know. Well, I know that most of you have not gone through this movie, and this is why I'm going to be pretty ambiguous about specific things that are about to be mentioned in this video. Perhaps it may sound a little surprising to you that the legendary filmmaker of this movie, Miyazaki, has specifically mentioned that no matter what happens, he doesn't want any press release or promotion of the film, as he wants the initial audience of the show to go in completely blind, like nothing about the film is known at all. All we could get to know about the film before watching it was the posters and a handful of low-profile conversations from some of the team members, but nothing from it. Of my insights on the film and what I believe about the inspiration of the filmmaker behind the movie. So here's the next interesting fact about The Boy and the Heron. As I already have pointed out, there are only a few press releases or interview sessions about the storyline of this film before its release. But there's one particular press conference where one of the producers of this movie, Toshio, breaks down a little statement about the inspiration of this movie. In his interview session, he mentioned that the storyline of the main character of this movie, Mahito, is narrated from the childhood experience of the filmmaker, Miyazaki. Toshio further added that before the commencement of the project, the filmmaker Miyazaki visited him and asked him if it was okay to direct a movie featuring his own childhood experiences and adventures. He went on to open up a little about the storyline of this movie and illustrated how at the very beginning of the film, the mother of the main character, Mahito, dies in a hospital fire amidst World War II. After this, Mahito visited a new town and everything just went off the rails when he encountered a talking gray heron in an abandoned building. This movie, therefore, portrays a blend of devastating and magical childhood experiences from the life of the young protagonist, Mahito. But would you not love to dig a little deeper into the inspirations behind the release of The Boy and the Heron? Well, have you ever gone through the 1937 book, How Do You Live? And do you think this latest and most delinquent film from Studio Ghibli has taken an impulse of inspiration from this provoking book featuring centuries of Japanese folklore and Heron mythology? Here's how. The film features the early childhood memories of evacuating war-torn cities from Miyazaki's life, such that in the middle of World War II, in 1940, Miyazaki's mother did not part away at first, and was hospitalized for quite some time out of tuberculosis. Miyazaki was also known to be an outcast as a child, very much like Mahito, the main character of the film. Studio Ghibli's new film, The Boy and the Heron, therefore incredibly captures how a mysterious talking gray heron soothes the roots for Mahito in his quest to save his mother. This is because, in Japanese mythology of art, the heron has been fluttering its way for more than a millennium. What if you get to know that Miyazaki, being a boy, is himself supposed to be the heron in the film? Well, there is no need to freak out, because that's what we're going to discuss as the next weird fact of this movie in our video. But before we continue to the next fact in our list, make sure to hit the subscribe button along with the bell icon to stay tuned for all the updates. In his press release interview, Toshio, one of the producers of the film, also specified that if Miyazaki is the boy, then he himself is also the heron, a mischievous flying entity in the film who keeps on provoking the young hero of the story to keep going on. The heron in the film stretches Mahito into the world of the surreals, an otherworldly journey where he gets a chance to find many new and more mature perspectives. Well, this is all because the heron in the film represents Miyazaki's innate emotions that evoke him to evolve and unwind his outlook on the world. Let's now take a look at what makes The Boy and the Heron one of the most ambitious films both in the story and animations. Rather than putting the world on the backdrop of the story, The Boy and the Heron prioritizes the experience of discovering the world, and this sense of discovery is what makes this film one of the most ambitious films from Studio Ghibli, both in the story and animations. The way Miyazaki has presented the subtle and modest moments of surrealism in the film The Boy and the Heron just brought me back to the first time I saw Spirited Away, and those flashback shots of my childhood excitement were nothing but a magical state-of-the-art captured by the animators in the film. In the next section, we are going to figure out the world of surrealism in the film as a direct reflection of Miyazaki's life. When you look at the incredibly stunning new surreal world of animations in the film, you will certainly compare it with the real world outside the tower out of some very obvious parallels. Just as the tough and young Kiriko in the film parallels the old Kiriko in the real world, above this, the maiden in the film perfectly resembles Mahito's mother, who passed away in the hospital fire. The doll staring at Mahito as he sleeps also parallel the elderly woman watching over him at his home in the show. These parallels between the world of surrealism and the real world define to us what the world of surrealism in the film is inspired by the real world and ultimately reflects Miyazaki's life. Another character in the film, Mahito's grand-uncle, who was the controller of the surreal world, wants to make this world free of destruction, malice war, and all kinds of evil. This is why he was on the verge of assembling the beautiful new surreal world in the film full of peace and happiness. Mahito's grand-uncle in the film, therefore, struggles hard to create this balanced life throughout his entire life, but he just can't seem to get it right. This film, directed by Miyazaki, therefore symbolizes an imbalance in the wildlife and ecosystem of the new world of surrealism, and this is what we are going to discuss next. Well, you could probably be familiar with the fact that parakeets in the real world are usually harmless little creatures, but as they enter the new world of surrealism in the film, they become human-eating monsters. This is why the pelicans in the new world of surrealism had no prey to feed on and had to starve as they were ruled by the most greedy character of the whole film, the Parakeet King. This imbalance in the ecosystem of the surreal world is also a test for Mahito in such a way that even though he misses his real mother so deeply, he is still supposed to accept his new mother at any cost. Despite being frustrated with his new mother, he has to look for the good things in her. This film, therefore, successfully embarks on the journey of maturity and broad-mindedness towards the imbalances in the ecosystem of the surreal world. Meanwhile, the real world of surrealism in the film symbolizes to its viewers and its director Miyazaki that the real world always mandates a balance of love and hate along with the good and bad that no one can regulate at all. This is because both sides exist in all of us, and all we can do is individually play our part in being as generous as possible. This is what Miyazaki has realized and has communicated to us all through this film, The Boy and the Heron, an Oscar-winning Studio Ghibli film. So that's a wrap for this video. Let us know in the comment section which of these fascinating facts about the film has amazed you the most. But before you leave, make sure to give this video a thumbs up and hit the subscribe button, and check out our next video on the screen.
お待ちしておりましたぞ。